Welcome to Tuesday Cafe. I'm Sean Canan, and we are broadcasting live on April 8th from the studios of WMNF in Tampa. On Saturday, there were hands-off protests around the country. You may have seen or been at the demonstrations, whether that was in Brooksville, Wesley Chapel, Sarasota, Safety Harbor, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Gulfport, or you can drop me a line and let me know where you were. The Pacifica radio network worked with affiliate newsrooms across the country, including here at WMNF and at our sister station WSLR in Sarasota, to bring you voices from those demonstrations. Right now, we're going to bring you Pacifica's Lisa Loving introducing the special compilation of reports from these community radio stations.
This past Saturday, it's likely that over 1 million Americans turned out at events planned to protest President Donald Trump's policies. The more than 1,300 anti-Trump events slated for every state in the union were planned by a broad coalition of over 150 labor, pro-democracy, and social justice groups. The scale of the undertaking was reminiscent of the anti-Vietnam War mobilization over a half-century ago. According to multiple press reports, both New York City and Washington, D.C. each saw crowds of over 100,000 people turn out. In most states, there were multiple events to choose from, with Axios reporting that more than 45,000 people turned out in Raleigh, North Carolina alone. What follows is a compendium of dispatches from Pacifica affiliates from every region of the nation, documenting what transpired in their local communities.
We'll hear first from WMNF's Josh Holton reporting from the demonstration in Tampa. You may have heard a shorter version of this, but here's more voices from the demonstration, the hands-off demonstration Saturday in Tampa.
The rally was organized by a group called A Better World is Possible, along with a vast coalition of organizations. Wearing a shirt for that group and a Palestinian flag like a cape, a man named Cam with the Democratic Socialists of America led chants through the megaphone.
Honestly, I just came today to try to help out any way I could. So I brought a megaphone and I heard some other people chanting, so I started helping out, doing the callbacks, and hey, that's what it takes, right? It takes a community, it takes a world.
Cam said that protesting is only one aspect of the larger movement to resist Trump's policies.
Our protests, they can be strategical, they can give us energy, they can give us hope. Woo! But they give us hope to fight for tomorrow, right? They give us hope to organize, right? It doesn't end at this protest. We're going to keep being out in the streets. We're going to keep organizing, pushing our elected officials to actually stand up and do something, to tell Congress to stop being cowards and actually stop Trump's fascist agenda. It takes a movement, takes the people, so that's what we're out here doing, right?
Mike Pryor was just walking down the street to catch a concert in the park, but he said he was happy to see people taking time to make their voices heard.
I think it's great, man. People turning out for what they believe in and what they really want to see change, and it's just show that America is still American. We still can come together, no matter the race, color, gender, and just say, hey, we have an issue, we have a problem, and we want to see it change. So all for it, man. Absolutely.
And even with so many different issues brought up at the protest, Pryor said he liked that part of it.
They're talking about race and LGBTQ and just all the things, and deportation, which is completely wrong. But they're tackling all of it, man, and it's all wrong. So we need to change it all.
Wearing a shirt that said Trump golfs while America burns, Gina Ellery is a local nurse and said people are fed up with the actions of the Republican Party and the inaction of the Democratic Party.
If you look at all these other democracies, they do have more than two parties, and then when one doesn't get the majority, they have to work together and they create a coalition. And right now it's very much black and white. You got to be on one side or the other, and the reason why Democrats' approval rating is so low is because we need them to fight.
One local organizer has been driving with university students to Tallahassee to lobby for greater environmental protections, especially in light of recent cuts to the Environmental Protection Agency and cuts by the Department of Government Efficiency impacting parks. Peyton Hoey is the Digital Communications Associate Manager with the Clio Institute and said many young organizers are getting their start at rallies like these.
Today, I would like to see, again, people taking action. I would like to see more people involved in the legislative process and ready to speak with their legislators to make those calls, to fill out those petitions while we still have them, and really use your voice. This is a starting spot for a lot of people. I've talked to people today that have, been participating in their first protest, and it's a beautiful thing to see that despite the attacks, this is an opportunity for people to mobilize.
Callie James is 19 years old, but started protesting for Black Lives Matter when she was 16. She came out to stand with the people of Palestine as Israel's airstrikes continue to kill dozens of women, children, and civilians in Gaza.
So it's so important because these people are being massacred. They're innocent civilians. They're not targeting any sort of terrorist group. They're targeting civilians. It's a full-on genocide. So that's why it's so important to me to be out here to raise awareness for that and for these innocent people who don't have any food, don't have any water, don't have any shelter, and they're traveling from place to place, not knowing when their next meal is going to be, not knowing if their children are going to be safe. So that's why it's so important to me to bring awareness to this issue.
Students for a Democratic Society has been organizing to get the University of South Florida to divest from companies in their investment portfolio that support Israel. Joseph Chari is with SDS and said Trump's crackdowns on protests is a sign of fear from both university and federal administrations.
They're afraid of students like me, students like SDS, students like SJP chapters, students in general fighting back and actually demanding democracy come to universities in the matter of, students actually having demands met. And so they're afraid of students actually making direct action in their universities. They're afraid of cutting down their ties, whether it be to Israel, whether it be to the military, whether it be to all these profitable companies. They're afraid of students actually making worthwhile change in the university in the name of diversity, in the name of actual higher learning, and the actual quest for education. And so they're afraid of students, but because they're afraid they're going to lose, we're not afraid.
Eric Rhodes served in the Marines during the Gulf War and said Trump's cuts to the VA and Social Security benefits are hurting those who put their health on the line after they served in the line of duty.
They don't care if you, like me, broke my back in jump school in 2 places. And now I have arthritis all the way through my back. They don't care that my lungs got messed up breathing the oil well fires in the Gulf War for 7 months and the burn pits. They don't care.
Rhodes says even mental health support for veterans is on the chopping block.
And I fought for this country under the promise that they would take care of me if I got messed up. And some of us didn't, but a lot of us did. And they're trying to take that. Then go into the VA healthcare, firing people that are taking care of us, shutting down the suicide hotline, firing people that were answering the phones when a vet says, I'm having a really hard time. Do you know right now, I'm having a really hard time, and I'm not okay. But what am I going to do if they take that away? If they take my ability away to call in and say, hey, look, I need help. I'm not okay. And I can't abandon these people. Their rights are getting taken too. Their freedoms are getting taken. Read Project 2025. Don't go to a news source. Go to the actual Heritage Foundation. Read what Project 2025 is doing. They're going to dismantle the government and divide it up between the billionaires. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're working it.
Rudy West was drafted into the Air Force in 1963 and said he was shocked at the lack of care about veterans that Trump has shown.
I think we deserve a better government, a better country, and that veterans should be respected. He just flew to his golf course, right, to get paid, and he refused to honor 4 veterans that died in Lithuania.
Trump instead attended a golf tournament dinner in Florida at the time of the dignified transfer of bodies. 23-year-old Nicole Morgan helped start a new organization, Tampa Activists United, which started protesting around Tampa shortly after Trump took office.
I had my first protest. It was literally just me and another girl. We put out a flyer. We didn't have any organizations behind us. We had maybe a couple hundred people, and I thought that was amazing. And then, 2 months later, we partnered with it, 5051, Hands Off, and all these local organizations. And at our peak, we had like 10 times more people than we've had in the past. We were covering from Tampa Street all the way down 3 blocks. And honestly, it just feels really amazing to see how many more and more people are like following the movement and getting involved. And it makes me excited for the next one too.
In coalition with Indivisible Pro-Choice Pinellas, Indivisible Action Tampa Bay, and Occupy Florida, the protest in front of Tampa City Hall was part of the 50-51 national movement and hands off to denounce Trump's actions in government corruption. Tampa's rally was one of 1,400 across the country on Saturday, with other actions nearby in St. Petersburg, Sarasota, and Wesley Chapel. For WMNF News, I'm Josh Holton in Tampa.
Well, thanks to Josh and to Pacifica for that report. We're going to hear from WSLR's Jennifer Johnston in Sarasota later in the show. You're listening to Tuesday Cafe. We're broadcasting from the studios of WMNF Tampa. Here's more of Pacifica Radio's coverage of Saturday's hands-off protests.
In this segment, we're hearing from KUNM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, WPPM in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, XOXO Austin Airways from Austin, Texas, WUWU in Alberta, also known as Bertie, Michigan, WEFR in West Virginia, and WGRN in Columbus, Ohio.
People braved icy winds to fan out across Civic Plaza as part of more than 1,300 protests around the country by the Hands Off movement. The organizers included civil rights organizations, labor unions, LGBTQ+ advocates, veterans, and elections activists. Protesters waved signs calling out cuts by the Trump administration to federal programs, including healthcare and actions by Elon Musk's Doge team. Adriana Rivas Williams was holding up a puppet familiar to many New Mexicans.
Well, this is Old Man Gloom, and this is Old Man Gloom Trump. As you can see, it says Make America Gloom Again, because today is a very gloomy day for a lot of people, and we have to fight back, and we have to stand for human rights before the money. He goes to sleep tonight while other people are worrying about their IRAs. Nice of him.
She says she wanted to incorporate New Mexican traditions to the protest to represent those who live here.
Being a native and my DNA being here to the 1600s and being very proud to be a New Mexican and understanding that this land that I'm on is my land, and we have a lot of natives here, Native Americans, lots of Hispanics, Latinos. Wake up, Trump. Coffee's here. Brown is here to stay.
Brooke Greenland is an elementary school teacher in Albuquerque who says she's worried about early childhood education being cut.
I'm personally taking a pay cut next year to keep doing my same job just because I feel like I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing and it's worthwhile, but it feels disrespectful to pay teachers less.
She says she's worried kids will not come to school if they're worried that their parents are going to be deported.
I personally know someone whose father was deported, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be in that family.
Paul Apodaca identifies as queer and says that the canceling of the emergency plan for AIDS relief that was created by President George W. Bush was a bad choice.
I did lose a lot of friends to AIDS, so we're going to go back to that. That's kind of scary for me. It's like we got to fight. For me, it's, being Latino, gay, it's like 2 strikes against me. They don't care.
Apodaca is originally from El Paso and says he's really glad he lives in New Mexico.
Having come from Texas is a whole different situation. I grew up 8 blocks away from Juarez, so there is no easy solution. I grew up in that.
Speakers included former Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, Attorney General Raul Torres, Mayor Tim Keller, and longtime civil rights activist Dolores Huerta, who got a serenade from the crowd for her 95th birthday. For KUNM, I'm Jeanette Didios.
This is Vanessa Maria Graver, and we are here at the corner of 5th and Market Street at Independence Mall, where there is a large protest happening. There are thousands of people here who just marched all the way from City Hall to National Historic Park to protest the current policies of President Trump. You see a really diverse crowd, lots of families here, people of all ages, and we're about to dive in and check out the rally that's going on.
We're not just saying no, we're saying yes to something better. Yes to our humanity. Yes to our solidarity. Yes to our dignity. Yes to peace. Yes to our planet. Yes to a future where power flows from the people and not from billionaires.
My name is David Gibson. I live in South Philadelphia. I'm one of the two co-coordinators of Peace, Justice, Sustainability Now. We're an associate member group of Peace Action, and we're out here to build unity to fight what looks like an authoritarian coup. I mean, we don't see tanks in the streets yet, but it doesn't look good. A lot of people have been hurt, and we all are stronger together and unified, and we've got to bring people together to push back on this autocratic government, to hold the line so we can change the power of Congress in D.C. in the next 2 years.
I'm State Representative Chris Rabb. I represent the 200th Legislative District of Pennsylvania, covering 4 neighborhoods in Northwest Philly.
All right, tell us why you're out here today.
I'm always looking for good trouble. And there's, 10,000 people out here who want the same. They want real change. And this is a moment where we have to stand up and realize it's up to us. It's not up to anyone else. We are the leaders we've been looking for. And I'm here to affirm all the people who are anxious, who are frustrated, who are scared, but who are also empowered to do something and not just wait for something to happen to us. I'm most concerned about the oligarchy. I'm concerned about fascism and the destruction of institutions that espouse to represent our democratic republic and the values that we Independence Hall back here, have codified into the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And in fact, they are not stepping up. The most influential, the wealthiest institutions are not doing nearly enough. So I'm using my position in elective office to hold them account, to make sure that we realize that if we don't organize, we will be destroyed. And also that we have been through worse and come out stronger. Nothing that we care about, whether it's climate action, full and fair funding of public education, gender justice, whatever, can be actually moved forward unless we address campaign finance reform and electoral reform. And also, I know something you care about is media democracy, making sure that independent voices and outlets have the resources and reach that they deserve so that we can pull ourselves away from the clutches of corporate media. Corporate media is an extension of Wall Street, and Wall Street is an extension of the corporate greed that has destroyed the fabric of our society as we know it.
My name is Seth Anderson Oberman. I'm the Executive Director of Reclaim Philadelphia. I came out today to stand with the people and fight back against the fascist hijacking that is trying to take the country back from regular working people, from our communities, our cities, everybody who's fought to make this country a better place for all of us. We're having it ripped away now and sold off to billionaires. And it was really heartening to come out today and stand with, I would have to say, 25,000, 30,000 people who showed up in Philadelphia to say hell no, to say get your hands off our city, get your hands off our, all of the programs and agencies and services and things that we've won to protect working people and communities. It was really powerful, and it gives me some hope for the future. I hope people will stay active. The rallies are great sometimes when we need to show our strength and the broad support, but I hope that people will engage in their communities. I hope that they will continue to organize and talk to their neighbors, build block by block where they live.
This is Vanessa Maria Graber reporting for WPPM on the Pacifica Radio Network.
We are with Jim Ellinger in Austin, Texas. Jim, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here.
What's your station? Remind us.
I'm with Austin Airwaves. We're not a radio station. We're a group that helps put radio stations on the air. Are probably most well known for putting the low power FM station on the air inside the Astrodome after Hurricane Katrina. We've also put stations on the air in Haiti after the earthquake. And right now, we're very proud to say that the little town of Kyle, Texas, is about to get their very own radio station because of the work of Austin Airwaves.
All right. Jim, tell us about the protest in Austin. What went on there?
It's going on now. The rally just started 2 o'clock Central Time, so it's just getting going. It is an incredibly good-sized crowd. People were streaming in by the thousands. I originally guessed at 3,000. I think it's more than 5,000 now. People are streaming in from all directions here in downtown Austin, Texas. It's an extremely enthusiastic crowd.
Who is there? Like, what's going on with the people?
Yeah, it's a good mix. A lot of the crowds in Austin of late have been folks of my generation, the kind of 60s activist radical types. This is a very mixed crowd. There are high school kids here. There are a marching band of a high school. There are a range of ethnicities, Asian, Hispanic, African American, and of course, lots of senior citizens who now bring their own chairs to sit in. But I have to say, we're rather proud that it is an ethnically mixed up crowd with a wide range of ages.
So what's the mood? What's the mood of the people?
So I would say, in a word, this is an enthusiastic rally. I would put this crowd at about 5,000 and growing fast.
What would you say are the biggest issues impacting your community right now?
Certainly the vouchers. That is, Abbott and the folks who have a hold on the Texas legislature and the billionaires want to have school vouchers that you can spend anywhere you want. But as a practical matter, they're just going to go to religious private schools. Many counties are opposed to this because it's going to kill their tax base for their schools. It failed to pass very narrowly in the last legislative session, and Abbott went after his own party, his own Republicans, and ousted a lot of them, and is now expected to pass. A lot of people, including small-town Texans, who are not normally ones to come to rallies, are very much up in arms and very angry that their tax dollars may be spent on a private religious school and not their local public high school.
What else? What other thoughts do you have about what you just were?
Well, marijuana is off the issue. Marijuana is not going to get legalized in Texas. There was a while there where there was a growing number of people pro-pot. That's not going to happen. There's also fewer LGBTQ trans signs. Again, this is Texas. In Austin, Texas is getting remarkably more conservative, whereas Austin is sort of holding the line. Small town Texas, Round Rock, Texas, which is not a progressive town by any means, they sent 2 busloads of people to D.C. So this is spreading out across the country to small town, regular old America. Actually, Round Rock, which is just north of Austin, is the political opposite of Austin. Remember, Austin is the opposite of Texas politically. We are constantly fighting them for all the issues, everything from environmental and mass transit subsidies and schools and all that. Austin remains the blueberry in the tomato soup of Texas. In closing, there's been no trouble at all. There hasn't been a single heckler. There hasn't been a single Trumper or MAGA. The police, which are always an issue here, and their horses and their motorcycles and their bicycles are all kept away. There's a couple parking lots away. Nearby, they're nearby if there's trouble, but there has been zero trouble at this rally in Austin, Texas today.
Are there certain key groups that have been involved?
Interestingly, there has been less involvement of regular old, what I might call rank and file activist groups in Austin. There has been a little tension between the 50, 501 folks and local activists as these nice young kids who are kind of picking up the banner of democracy to save American democracy have sort of clashed with old school organizations in Austin and folks of my generation. There has been some support from local groups, but frankly, not that much. But as far as organizations, we've seen quite a few union signs. The unions have come out big time. The school teachers, the municipal workers, the state government workers have all shown up. But aside from that, you just don't see that many local activist groups involved. Maybe sorry to say.
All right. Jim Ellinger, Austin, Texas, Austin Airwaves. Thanks for taking the time today.
Glad to help out Pacifica. Support your local Pacifica station.
An enthusiastic crowd of approximately 400 Benzie County residents participated in the nationwide day of protest Hands Off rally on Saturday, April 5th. Benzie County is located in northwest Lower Michigan, bordering Lake Michigan, and has a population of approximately 18,000. Organizers of the Hands Off protest said participants are calling on Trump and Elon Musk to to take their hands off the programs that the middle class and working families rely on. More than 1,000 events were scheduled in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Let's hear what some of the protesters had to say.
Hi, I'm Carol Carlin from Frankfort, Michigan.
And tell me what your sign says today, Carol.
Well, my sign is the map of the United States, and the top says we must insist, resist, persist. And hands off our free speech, education, national parks, Medicaid, libraries, museums, schools, books, Planned Parenthood, immigrants, consumer protections. It goes on and on.
And why did you feel it was important to be out here today, Carol?
Oh, my goodness, so much is at risk. And there's an awfully scary administration there. We got to get these guys out.
My name is Nancy Bogan. I'm 80 years old, a lifelong Democrat. I live in Benzonia, and I'm here with my sign that says, hands off my Social Security, which is a lifeline for us. My husband and I both get Social Security and a very small retirement, so anything that affects it will affect our lives deeply. And I'm just so pleased to be able to be out here and support the good things that our country needs to do.
Marty, and we felt it was important for us to participate in this. We're both older, we're both disabled. So many things speak up to us, and it's our time to speak now. It's our time to show, that we're not in agreement with what's going on. I'm a vet. We both get Social Security. We both enjoy, our public parks and public lands. We're terrified for people that are less fortunate, that are on Medicaid, Medicare.
My name's Joe, and one side says no kings, the power belongs to we, the people. And the other is due process for all, because we're really screwing up on that. And I am so empowered by the turnout in Benzie. I am so proud of this. It's wonderful.
Barb, and my sign says resist, like it's 1938 Germany.
And what made you make that sign?
Because it is exactly like 1938 Germany in so many ways, because the Trump administration is using the Nazi playbook. It's about that simple.
My name's Andrew Bishop. I'm a veteran. I'm wearing this sign on my back because I think there was an insurrection, and I don't like that he not only freed all the people who broke the law, but he then fired all the people who prosecuted them. I'm greatly opposed to that, but I'm opposed to everything he's doing. All of his cuts, just opposed to him, and that's why I'm wearing the sign today.
My name is Richard Dodge, and on my sign, on this side it says, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. And on this side, it says, Nero fiddled while Rome burned.
Why do you feel it was important to be out here today?
I feel it's important because my father and my uncle fought in World War II against fascism, and it's time that we started doing it again.
Reporting from Benzie County, this has been Arlene Sweeting with WUWU LPFM 100.1 in Frankfort, Alberta.
Hands off, the Friendly City fights back. A demonstration was held at the Marion County, West Virginia courthouse in Fairmont on Saturday, April 5th. Around 120 people came out in protest against the Trump-Musk dismantling of the government, massive cuts to benefits. Benefits such as SNAPs, food stamps, Medicaid, Social Security, health care, veterans benefits, also the TARS, and related job losses. Warren Hillsboss, the organizer of the Friendly City Fights Back, talks to me about the reasons he organized.
There's been some job losses recently in the area.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, so there's three big ones that come to mind. There's been a recent announcement of layoffs at Novelis, the large aluminum processing plant over on the east side, Speedway Avenue to be specific. That's almost 200 jobs, most of them union and good paying jobs. Now, some of that we think was in the works for a long time, but so has the fascist takeover of our government. So, not sure that means much. So we have hundreds of people already there who by the end of June will be out of work with no prospects of any sort of help from their company that I'm aware of. Then we have First Energy announced hundreds of layoffs, mostly centered in Western Pennsylvania, but some of those jobs actually are here as well. So we haven't gotten numbers on how many folks here in Fairmont might have lost their jobs at First Energy or in related work. We're still working on that. If anybody does want to get in touch with us, they're welcome to. We want to hear from our fellow workers. And then finally is the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. One of 2 offices in the entire country was in Morgantown, West Virginia. It was one of our crown jewels of keeping our miners safe when they go underground. They would still be in so much danger if it wasn't for the work of the people at NIOSH. And they were almost entirely cut. There's at least like half of the staff in that office alone was cut unceremoniously, middle of the night, more or less. They showed up to work on Monday and locked doors. That's about 200. So about half the staff. And the other staff are basically, we think, are being kept around to basically sell off to be furniture or something like that.
BJ McMahon, a community organizer, speaks to me why she's out today.
I live here in Marion County. I'm also an organizer, professional if you want to call it that. I've been doing it for about 20 years. But when we came back here, it was time to start organizing the people. And I am over the moon right now with everyone that has showed up today. What is happening now was never, ever okay. And they have taken West Virginia for granted for too long. We are a sacrifice zone for natural gas, for oil, for coal, for whatever they can get. And that's part of our problem. This isn't the day to talk about this, but this is the day that everyone here knows that what is happening now is not okay, and we will not stand for it because we know what community is and we know how to change it.
Seiden Rivers spoke about she was out protesting Trump attacks on gay and trans rights and cuts to Medicaid.
I am a mother to many trans children. I have raised other people's children for pretty much my whole life. And I'm out here, to protest them taking away Medicaid and Medicare because those things are very close to poor trans people. Because we rely on subsidized health care in order to take care of our kids and to make sure that our people have what we need. Hormone replacement therapy saves lives. So I'm here to protest and to show, this is something that means get off of our government. Let's save the government while we still can.
My name is Zeta, and I'm just here to support my community and our and what's going on in government today. Taking away everything, Constitution, things like that. Protect us for our children.
I'm Roy Clark from WEFR in Fairmont, West Virginia for Pacifica Radio.
We are at the April 5th Hands Off rally at the Ohio State House, downtown Columbus, Ohio. It is a light rain, but there are still thousands and thousands of people here. Okay, what's your first name?
My name is Jody.
Hi, Jody. We're with WGRN Radio in Columbus Community Radio. Tell us why you're here today.
I am here because I am sickened by the administration that we hold now. Many voices together make a bigger impact than just one voice solitary. So I came out here for all sorts of reasons, just for everybody, pretty much.
Did you make that sign? My grandma did not survive Hitler for me to live under dictatorship.
Yes. She was a young girl living in Czechoslovakia when everything started, and they were German, and they boarded everybody on trains in Czechoslovakia with what they could carry and dumped them off in Germany. And her father was taken by Russian soldiers for 5 years. They didn't know where he was, obviously. And her cousin, although we're not Jewish, had the numbers tattooed on his arm, and I wasn't able to find the stories about that because there were certain things they just didn't want to talk about.
Yes. What do you think of today's rally?
It's inspired me so much to attend more of these. This was my first one, so I'm excited to go travel to more.
Nice seeing you here in the drizzly, rainy day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jetty.
That was Jeanette De Rios from KUNM in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Vanessa Maria Graber from WPPM in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jim Ellinger from XOXO Austin Airways from Austin, Texas. Arlene Sweeting from WUWU in Alberta, Michigan. Roy Clark reporting from WEFR in West Virginia. And Eugene Beer from WGRN in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Lisa Loving with the Pacifica Radio Network.
Well, thanks to Lisa and the Pacifica Radio Network for these reports from around the country by independent newsrooms of Saturday's hands-off protests. WMNF contributed, as we heard earlier. Later on, we're going to hear WSLR's Jennifer Johnston reporting from Sarasota. And here's a couple of emails that have come in or texts. So Wendy says, so tell us what protests will look like when 47 signs the Insurrection Act on April 20th. If that does happen or when that does happen, we obviously will be out there covering it and telling you what it does look like, what the protests look like. Also, it looks like Robert out there in cyberspace says to us that it should be noted that the Tampa Bay Times did not cover the local hands-off protests, not one word. That's what Robert says out there in cyberspace. So thanks for the emails and texts that have come in. There's a couple more I might try to get to in a little bit, but let me play this last segment here. We have here more of Pacifica Radio's coverage of Saturday's hands-off protests, including a report from Sarasota by WSLR's Jennifer Johnston. This is Tuesday Cafe broadcasting from the studios of WMNF in Tampa.
In this segment, we're hearing from KYRS in Spokane, Washington, KCSB in Santa Barbara, California, WEFT in Champaign, Illinois, and WSLR in Sarasota, Florida.
The hands-off rally in Spokane, Washington at B.A. Clark Park proved that Spokane isn't dull. In fact, people were angry enough to show up in droves. But alongside it, there was a Trump rally running from 2 to 4 p.m.
We have just started the hands-off rally about 2 minutes ago. We were expecting a crowd of 2,000. By now, we have 3,000 people that are lining here. More people are streaming in. We could hit as much as 5,000. A lot of interesting signs are up here. One of them, Trans Lives Matter, Honor the Law, Canadian flags, pride flags, American flags that are inverted in distress, as a lot of people do feel distress, in order to make sure that we do not run into any of the residual Trump protesters. Spokane police officers are keeping the crowd separated and hopefully can continue to keep things peaceful for us. I'm looking for other signs here, many of them saying hands off, and a whole list that includes our bodies, Medicare, Social Security, clean energy, school. The list goes on and on and on. Now I am talking to
Margie.
And you represent who?
The Raging Grannies.
What brought you to the protest today?
The Raging Grannies are always active to use our songs and our sense of humor about any injustice.
Various musicians, including the P-Jammers, contributed their efforts, as they do in many of our marches in Spokane.
And as a spirit of revival right now, we're about 15 minutes into the protest. The crowd is still growing. I would say that we're at about 4,000 to 5,000 right now. People are still streaming into the area. People of various ethnicities. Most of them are white, as most of Spokane is white. I've also have been seeing people who are Black, Latino, and I believe I have seen some who are indigenous. Not many, but they are definitely here.
So many people thronged the park that Spokane Indivisible, the chief organizer of the Hands Off Rally in Spokane, had many of them join together on the baseball diamond with a drone to take a photograph to show the immensity of the crowd.
So many people have streamed in that protesters are now on the baseball diamond in the middle of the park. The Trump people had been at the south end, and they are starting to move off as people are moving in from the north. Easily, we are past 5,000 by now. There's major energy going on today. I am talking to...
My name is Jorge Guerrero. I'm with Latinos in Spokane, but we're here supporting Indivisible and this massive movement that is happening because people are just had it with this administration. They're had it with all the lies. I mean, look at all the signs. They're creative. They are speaking their minds. And this is very awesome to witness.
The crowd remained peaceful, even as crowds lined the streets on both sides of division. It was an amazing day today. For KYRS Local News in Spokane, Washington, I'm Linnea Kaler.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
We are in Westside Park, Champaign, Illinois, home to the University of Illinois and to WEFT Community Radio. It's April 5th, 2025, and people are gathering for our local hands-off protest, organized by Champaign County Indivisible, to speak their truth in this critical and dangerous moment in America and around the world. Estimates are that between 1,200 and 1,700 people are here on this cold and rainy afternoon, carrying signs and messages and joining their voices with other protests across the country. Spirits and voices are high.
Good afternoon, Champaign County. My name is Tracy Dugan. Like the rest of you, I am here today because I'm scared at the direction our country is going. I am so angry. Good trouble! Good trouble! Good afternoon, resistance! My name is Julie Pride, and I am the proud administrator of the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District. Public health web that has been created in the U.S. since the start of this country is nothing short of miraculous. It is responsible for the large increase in life expectancy that we have seen over the last 125 years. It is a massive web that includes research, policies, programs, education, and regulations that have taken generations to build. Are we going to stand by while this administration destroys the gains that have been made in public health?
We have a lot of signs here in Westside Park in Champaign, Illinois, where law ends, tyranny begins. Trump lies, democracy dies. Wake up, America.
Yeah, we better wake up or we're done.
No tax breaks for billionaires.
And we knew this was coming, but people elected him anyway.
Hands off our science. National Institute of Health, National Science Foundation, CDC.
Washington is shredding science, and we need science for preserving health.
This is my adopted country, and I believe in the people. I believe in us. What do you think about the border wall? Hands off immigrants. Return to Mexico policy. Hands off immigrants. Shipping people to Guantanamo. Hands off immigrants. So Trump and Mr. Miller have created a slicing of the immigrant populations such that they can attack them and criminalize them in different ways. Don't be fooled. Resist, resist, resist. These people, they're malevolent.
I'm Coke Cumston, an air shifter with WEFT Community Radio in Champaign, with immense thanks to the Pacifica Network for bringing us together in the unique voice of independent radio stations across America.
We're with Ray Breer from KCSB in Santa Barbara, California. Ray, what happened today in Santa Barbara?
About 5,000 people or more turned out for a march from downtown Santa Barbara to the beach down the main street. It's a good time. A lot of people over 60. I would estimate that at least 50% of the crowd was 60 or older. And those under 30, probably only about 10%. It was mostly white folk, a lot of Latinos, very minimal police presence. But once the march started, we saw policemen at every intersection keeping the march route from being intersected by traffic. And I talked to quite a few of them. They said they were told to expect a crowd of 3,000 to 5,000 people. And it exceeded that. They were certain it was more than that. But when the march got to the beach, we were formed into a human sign that spelled out hands off. And there was a picture taken by a drone.
What was the general mood?
I think there was a great spirit among the people to see how many people there were. Lots of mingling and renewing of friendships and people who had seen each other for quite a while. But there was also quite a bit of disgust, and people were genuinely very angry. Some of the signs reflected that as well, and the chants. Well, let's see. I'll start with, this is so dire, even the introverts are here. You're not a king, you're a con. Silence is complicity. Power to the peaceful. Hands off was the theme, of course, and so there were lots of signs for that. Hands off education, hands off free press, my vagina, national parks, Medicare, free speech, the environment, my Social Security, the Constitution, my neighbor, the courts, Gaza.
Ray, how big is Santa Barbara?
The population of the city itself, I think, is something like 85,000. And of the suburban area on either side, totals about 160,000.
I mean, 5,000 people or more, that's a big protest for a town that size.
Mm-hmm. This was probably the biggest since the first Women's March a few years ago.
What are some of the biggest issues impacting the Santa Barbara community right now?
The ICE crackdown is one that's top of mind. ICE has showed up in the neighborhoods a couple of times and taken a couple of people off the street. So there's a network of people to respond to that. And also education. UCSB here, and actually there's several colleges in the Santa Barbara area. The attack on funding, the attack on science in general, or in education in general. That's a big topic, and it's hitting close to home here.
UCSB is a big science school. It's a big school for biology, and I think maybe marine biology. And I was going to ask you if they're impacted by the federal budget cuts.
They definitely are. One of the four speakers before the march spoke about that. She has worked her entire life in international education. She mentioned that this is hurting us here now.
Is there anything else about the protest today in Santa Barbara, California, Ray, that you think listeners should know about?
How about some more signs? Super callous, fragile, racist, sexist, not my POTUS. Worst sequel ever, and the first one sucked. There were a lot of signs that said 8647. We are all immigrants. Swords to plowshares, tax the wealthy, make our country strong and healthy.
What impact do you think that this protest in Santa Barbara today could have for your local community there, but also for the rest of the country?
At least short-term, people are encouraged by the number of people that showed up and the spirit among the crowd, you know, how well organized it was. I think people are encouraged that they can get this done. One of the signs I really liked was Congress stop the tariffs. Everybody's wondering how it's going to stop. And so long-term, I think that the outcome is going to mostly be showing up the next time one of these is called for and continuing to pound on the Congress people to do something.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for taking the time today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Lisa.
That was Ray Breer from UCSB in Santa Barbara, California.
This is Jennifer Johnston with WSLR 96.5 FM in Sarasota, Florida. I'm here at the Hands Off protest where we have folks gathered on Bayfront Park side as well as across the street. We are seeing lots of folks with signs. They stand with Cory Booker, hands off, our Social Security, our Medicare. We're seeing a lot of individuals with peace signs and thumbs up. There seems to be a positive feeling. It is hot outside today, and folks are out here with their signs crossing the Ringling Bridge over the newly renamed Gulf of America. We're seeing lots of folks honking and giving thumbs up. I would say there are very few folks who are engaging as opponents from their cars. I did not see anyone out with bullhorns or any opposition. It seemed to be a very peaceful, unifying experience, and a lot of we the people and the power of momentum of individuals raising their voices together. It feels more like a rally than a protest.
Well, that was WSLR's Jennifer Johnston reporting from a hands-off protest in Sarasota. And I want to thank Lisa Loving and the rest of Pacifica Radio Network for that compilation of reports from around the country by community radio newsrooms, including WMNF's Josh Holton and our partner WSLR. So let's hear what you have to say. Give us a call, 813-239-9663, if you have anything to say about the protests that you just heard from around the country, or if you're one of the ones in the Tampa Bay area. There were quite a number. I got reports from Brooksville, Wesley Chapel, St. Petersburg, Gulfport, Safety Harbor, Tampa. So let us know where you were, how many people were there, what the mood was like. Let me read a couple of emails that have come in. Bubba writes, I hope that GOP Congress critters grow a spine and impeach Trump, is what Bubba says. He's unfit for the presidency. I also think that Trump and his family are shorting the stock market and making big bucks as a result. So thank you for that, Bubba. Thanks for that email. Also, Gary writes that he went to the rally in downtown St. Petersburg, and it was incredible. So thank you for that report, Gary. David writes in that he says that I hope that Tampa and Orlando Democrats will start showing billboards like the ones that were put up in Miami. He says these people are traitors. And so the Miami billboards have a picture of Marco Rubio and 3 other Republicans, and it says the word traitors to immigrants, to Miami-Dade, to the American dream. So thank you for that, those thoughts there, David. And if you were at any of the demonstrations, let us know via email, dj@wmnf.org, or you can text 813-433-0885, or in the remaining 2 or 3 minutes that we have left, you can give us a call at 813-239-9663. What did you think about what you heard from around the country and what you actually experienced in your own community? 813-239-9663. Let me read some news stories for you that might also get the conversation started if you'd like. So the Supreme Court, here's the latest from the Supreme Court. It will allow the Trump administration to deport Venezuelans after a judge's review. The Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to use an 18th century wartime law to deport Venezuelan migrants, but said they must get a court hearing before they're taken from the United States. In a bitterly divided decision, the court said yesterday that the administration must give Venezuelans who it claims are gang members reasonable time to go to court. Also, the Trump tariffs threaten 35,000 jobs and entire towns in South Africa's citrus sector, according to a group, the Citrus Growers Association of South Africa. And the U.S. House leaders are expressing concern for any U.S. troop cuts in Europe. The top Republican and Democratic leaders of the House Armed Services Committee expressed concerns about reports that the Trump administration is eyeing a reduction of U.S. forces in Europe, saying that America must stick with its allies in Europe and its NATO allies. The panel's chair voiced opposition to any plan for the United States to relinquish NATO command. The U.S. historically has held the Supreme Allied Command Europe position. We're going to get to phone lines in just a second. Let's see if we can put Kate on the air. Hi, Kate in St. Pete. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi. Can you make your point quickly? Sorry, it's the last moment of the show.
You got it. Okay. I just wondered, do people ever stop and think of what it was like before Trump and what happened with the Biden administration, that they may be part of the problem that's happening today? I honestly think that Trump is trying to clean it up. I mean, I wish that people would at least say that. It wasn't like this with the previous to Biden. I think that Biden is responsible for the problems that we're having to clean up today. And I just wanted to say that. I've never heard anybody say that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you're calling in. Thanks so much, Kate in St. Pete's. I appreciate that. We have somebody else on the line, but unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I apologize for not getting to the callers until the very end, but I wanted to hear the reports from around the country. Cynthia in Tampa, if you can call back next time, I appreciate that. She's noting that there was a protest in Brooksville, so thank you for calling in, Cynthia. Sorry we can't get to you in time, but I do want to thank Pacifica for their reports. This has been WMNF's Tuesday Cafe. I'm Sean Canan. And if you missed any of this show, or if you'd like to share it with your friend network, you can find it right now on WMNF.org. In this time slot tomorrow is Midpoint. Coming up next, we're going to hear an interview of Richard Forer about how the U.S. is supporting Israel in its attacks on Gaza. Then coming up at noon is Wide Awake America with Nadine Smith. She speaks with Melissa Ryan about can we rebuild democracy in an age of disinformation. And on Thursday this week, I'm going to be substitute DJing on the Thursday morning show. So please tune in to WMNF Tampa from 6 to 9 in the morning. Thanks to everyone who supports community radio. This is WMNF Tampa, St. Petersburg, Sarasota.